We are so privileged whenever we are in relationship with God. There's something that flows naturally out of that relationship. And the Bible, from beginning to end, literally calls that fruit. That there is something about a life that is planted in the deep soil of God's purposes, His Word, an intimate connection through prayer. When that's emanating through my life, when that's my rule of life, that's how I roll. When prayer and Bible engagement are just prominent in my life, there is a sense of fruitfulness coming out of my relationship with Jesus. Because it's in those practices that I discover the intimacy that He wants for me and provides for me and that I can step into. So think with me about this 15th chapter of John. We looked at the first 5 verses. I just picked a little bit of that yesterday. But if you look at verse 5, I am the vine, you're the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he'll bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing, right? So if I pull away from him, I can do nothing. Verse 6, if anyone does not remain in me, he's like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown in the fire and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it'll be given you. This is to my, verse 8, this is my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. I love that. Yesterday we looked at the purpose of being under the influence of Jesus. Today it's about the proof of being under the influence of Jesus. You can tell. If you were downtown Merced and there was somebody stumbling down the street, running into things, swearing and carrying on in unbecoming behavior, you would say, I recognize that. That guy's intoxicated. That guy's drunk. That guy's under the influence of alcohol. Right? You could recognize it, right? The same thing's true if someone's under the influence of Jesus. You can recognize it. It starts to show in their life. In fact, Jesus said in Matthew 7:16, by their fruit you will, literally says that, recognize them. He's saying that those that really know me are recognizable. There's a proof in their life that show their connection, that illustrate that if they're not under their own influence or the influence of culture or influence of greed or influence of lust, and you can recognize those influences well too, but you can recognize them because they're under my influence. When the Apostle Paul was pressing into the believers in Galatia in chapter 5, verse 22, after defining what it looks like to be under the influence of the flesh, he says, but the fruit of the Spirit is 9 things: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. He gives us nine qualities that enable us to say, that's the Spirit of God. It's recognizable when someone has this agape love, this unconditional love, that they love people not just because they like them. They love people not just because they're like them, but they love people that are nothing like them. That's not natural. That's supernatural. Love joy. And in John 15, Jesus, verse 11, he points out, I tell you all this so my joy will be in you, right? The point being is that there's a proof, there's an evidence that makes it very clear that someone has intimacy with God. They are connected. They are under His influence. I said this weekend, I'll say it again, that if love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, if these things are not evident in your life, then your rule of life is failing. If none of these things are in your life, then your rule of life isn't working. So what I'm asking is that you would just kind of meditate on John 15, meditate on Galatians 5:22 and 23, and ask yourself, is my rule of life working? My prayer and Bible engagement, is it producing within me a love for people that are nothing like me? Is it producing in me a joy that is not circumstantial? Is it producing in me a peace that can make it through a storm? Those are all supernatural points of proof that we're under his influence. So Jesus, we simply take a good look inside. We take a close examination of what we do from day to day. And Lord, if what we're doing is not producing the fruit of your presence, then Lord, give us the courage to listen intently, to take notes, take copious notes, to apply diligently what we're hearing and learning, so we can craft, so we can pick up the tools available to us to absorb more of your presence. Lord, so we give you today whatever would be in the way of that, and ask that you help us to sharpen the saw, to acquire increased tools and increased skills as we learn to use them to reflect you more. I'll see you tomorrow.